Fever is made possible by our generous sponsors. Clark and Toop Lawyers, Douglas Parade, Williamstown, Flemington Racecourse Tabaret, Metro Ribbons, Great Southern Pies, Science Works, Footscray RSL, Air New Zealand, Jet Set Holidays, Truth Newspapers, Thorpe Transport, Video It Productions, Universal Gym and the Star and Garter Hotel in South Melbourne. Now make welcome your host, Eddie Maguire of the West, Mark Stoney Stone.
Your enthusiasm second to none. You went out there, every game you played, you had a real fair dinkum go. And believe you me, we might have won on the scoreboard, but I didn't enjoy today. It was a bloody long, hard day. And congratulations, you bloke. To our blokes, it's a mixture of, we've got about 5 under 18 blokes or 18-year-old fellas in the side today that we're bringing along. We played probably 5 or 6 other fellas, 4 or 5 games throughout the year, so we're blooding them, bringing them through. We went into the season with high expectations, and thank God we got there in the end. A mixture of our experienced players and our youth, and hopefully that, you know, we can go on with it. We've got to start right from scratch now and really do a bigger and bigger job. So, thanks for everyone supporting us. Let's have a big night tonight. Thank you.
Puts it, you were great out there today. Wasn't your big day, but 3 goals. How do you feel, mate?
Grouse, mate. It's grouse to be at this club. I've been here 22 years. It's been sensational for me. I just took it easy today. So.
If we're behind, then never mind. We'll win and win. Play to win, cause we're from Tigerland. It's never over till the final sirens rang.
It's been a great effort by all concerned. We've worked really hard, Hash, as you know, off the ground to get a top coach this year, to get a top side on the ground, to get back in First Division. And now that we're there, mate, that we're there, beware of the Tiger. That's all I can say, because we're looking at bigger and better things, and we're not coming back down again. Let me assure you.
Thank you.
Let me assure you, Hash.
On behalf of the Yarraville Football Club Committee and all the supporters, all those people that came down here today, they loved what they seen, especially the last half of the game where we came out and played our normal footy. Laurie Pendrick, well, what can I say about Laurie? He's done the job. He's brought you blokes together and he's made you play some decent footy. Yeah, I feel pretty good. I mean, Luch and myself started work back in September of last year. We basically knew we were taking over the club with a new committee, new ideas. We knew what we had to do to get this club back up to First Division, because that's where we belong. We've got some new players already lined up for next year. Thanks, and to all those senior clubs that we hope to see in the finals next year. But Luch and myself have done a lot of work, and I think it's just finally paid off. And these are the moments we cherish. When you win a premiership, this premiership probably means more to me than in a 97 premiership that I played in. It means a lot to the club. We're back up where we belong, and we'll just enjoy the night.
I feel pretty good, Ash. Yeah, we made a long day of it. We didn't play that well, but second half was much better. I mean, grand finals are funny games, and you just got to go out there and win. In the end, I think it was about 50, 60 points, so, you know, what more can you ask? We just kept chipping away. Full credit to Glenord, and they tried their hearts out, but on the day we're just a better side, and, you know, the boys really deserve it, so, you know, now the hard work starts back in First Division. We've got to really get in there and work hard and make sure that we're in a similar position next year.
Good evening and welcome to Footy Fever. And that was the Yarraville celebrations in a great win with the Second Division Cup and Premiership, and they'll go up to First Division next year. And I've got one of the gentlemen that was with me on Sunday, and it's the Mr. Yarraville. Good evening, Tony Hasham. Good evening, Tone.
Good evening, Stoney. Who's on your right?
Who is my right? Who is it? Good evening, Stephen Milne.
Yeah, good on you, Stoney. And yeah, absolutely scenes of jubilation down there at Churnside Park in Werribee. The Tigers roared for Laurie Pendrick, the first-year coach. Brad Aiken was on fire, and young Travis Cook got the Rex Swan medal. And Beebs, always great to have you here, mate.
Thank you very much, Steve. It's great to be here on this grand final eve. And boy, you are two sensational-looking footballers.
We're past footballers, Steve, and I don't know if we can play either. But Beebs, so you've got the young gentleman next to you, and Michael, good evening.
I thought you were actually talking to Trev, but then I found out I looked over and it actually wasn't. But we've got a big weekend for Yarraville, Stoney. I noticed Pete's going to show a good photo in a minute, but you've actually stuffed up my joke, so it's going to sound pretty stupid. Here's actually a nice shot of a stunning Peter Holden at his best. and got the old punk hairstyle.
That's an Eddie Maguire shot, that.
So when that's famous,
Hey, Michael,
you're signing them.
Michael, back to the footy.
So Trevor Davies, back to the footy, and thanks for that joke, as Peter Holden will do.
Good evening, Trevor.
G'day, Stoney, how are you? What a great game of football on the weekend, and there's an even bigger game coming up this weekend. But before we go any further, I'd like to thank Tucker O'Keefe for Steven's jumper there, fantastic. And from the St Albans Football Club, I'd like to thank Corey Bissett for lending his jumper to Mark.
Trevor, I was trying to lose some weight too, mate. Thanks very much. But it's also, I can't forgetting, but good evening, Peter Holden.
Good evening, Mark Stone. Now, I've confirmed the vicious rumour about that, in fact, Bootsma Meaty has signed with SAS Sports Advisory Services. There's the photo. That is proof that SAS has signed Bootsma Meaty for season 2001.
Now, what's SAS, Michael, for Peter?
Sports Advisory Administration Services for all your sporting misguidance. And hang on, Tony, you're a little bit snazzed up for the show.
What's going on?
What were you in your suit?
Well, I've just actually merged with a company called Kennedy & Co. Chartered Accountants.
Did you just say Kennedy & Co?
I did.
Did you hear that, Kennedy & Co?
Yeah,
it was Kennedy & Co.
Yeah, good one,
Pete.
Pete.
Was it Kennedy & Co, was it?
Now, what's the number there, Tom? You know the number?
Yeah, I've got it here. 9654 2244.
Now, Tony, Stephen and I were lucky enough to go down to Churnside Park last Sunday, Steve, and we watched. I thought it was a fabulous game, Steve. It had everything in the game. It was even at half time. But in the end, Yeovil had a bit more class, and that was the difference. But Glenorden Football Club, you need to stand proud because you were absolutely magnificent that game, Stephen.
Yes, and that was the message their playing coach Peter Jacobs said to the boys after the game. Obviously, the boys were pretty devastated. It's always pretty heartbreaking to lose a grand final. But Peter Jacobs spoke from the heart. I think there was a few tears there. It was very emotion charged. And he said it was his last game of football, a distinguished 400-game career in the Western Suburbs. So good on you, Wally. And he said to the boys, very, very proud to be playing my last game alongside you guys. The effort you put in today was absolutely number one, and he was just proud of the way the Hawks went about their business.
Steve, in the first quarter, they were against the Breeze, Glenorden, in the first quarter, and Brett Skinner was an absolutely magnificent play. He must have had 10, 11 possessions in that first quarter, and with Cassano and Jacob and also Big Barry there, and also Marshy there, played a very good game and really bottled the Yarraville forwards up.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head on the call on Stereo 974 when you said that the Glenorden side had done their homework. Peter Mark played on Bootsma Meaty and put him out of business, and Peter Jacob led from the front, led by example, and he put Brett Devlin, I was going to say Adam, his brother, Brett Devlin, the 100 goal kicker, out of business, and they certainly were in the game up to half-time, but like you said, the class, the experience, and a bit of the dash. Brett Aiken, and I'll ask Tone about Aiken's performance, he was just sensational.
Well, yeah, that's right, Steve. He's been fantastic all year. You know, he's got a devastating left foot. You know, every time the chips are down at Yarraville, they always seem to look for Brett Aitken, especially up until half-time when the scores are only 3 points. I think Yarraville at one stage were leading, but the scoreboard, they had it wrong there. So the boys went in half-time believing that they were down by about 3 points, but in fact they were up. But the message from Laurie, you know, he pleaded to his players, especially to Brett Devlin and the likes of John Rosowski and also Brett Aitken, and they came out and they really fired up.
Michael, it was a good game, and I believe you were following pretty closely down at Yarraville there, but a good result for Yarraville.
We actually got a bit of a shock, Stoney, because we were calling the preliminary final between Port Colts and St Albans, and we got the news there was only 2 points in it, but Travis Cook, Steve, who was in good form as well.
Yes, Travis Cook goes home with a very prestigious medal around his neck. Obviously the premiership medallion, that's what you play footy for, but the Rex Swan medalist. And look, it was a bit of a shock. He certainly played a great game. Tone and Stoney and myself thought Brett Aiken was the man of the match, but Travis Cook, and ironically enough, Travis Cook played his junior football at Glenorden.
Now, did Glenorden's David Marsh play a captain's game? Did he lead from the front?
He was excellent, Peter. He was a player they always look to, and he was the guy in the first half that really kept them in the game. He led by example at centre half forward, was a target, and he really has played Jeff at a high level. You know him from Spotswood, and a pretty good player.
David Marsh, undoubtedly. We spoke to him on the radio on Friday night, and he's one guy. He's from a family who have made a medal, and I can assure you, he would give his all for the club, and there's no doubt about it. For David to play at centre half forward at barely 6 foot is an outstanding effort, and he's certainly one of those guys that will give everything.
Trevor, Yarraville won the game, and I just want to go through a couple of names as I go. Bruzanetti, Abudi El Hurley, Brad Aiken, Daniel Rose, Travis Cook, Steve McAnulty, Greaves, Liam Davis, Gil Martin, Ramsey, Brett Cook, Brett Devlin, Luke Bryant. Just all these names, and next year they go to First Division. They're going to have to improve and obviously get a few players to come back to that side so they can compete in First Division.
Oh, look, with sides winning Second Division flags, I was a coach at St Albans 3 years ago, and to come up and be fairly competitive in A grade, you need to add to that list. I think the important thing is that you don't lose anybody, and you can add 3, 4, 5 to that list so you can get up there and be competitive, not just go up and survive, go up and really have a crack at it. And I think that's very, very important.
Now, Tony, has Laurie Pendrick and the rest of the Yarraville team set a plan for 2001, knowing that not only have you won the Division 2 Grand Final, now you've got to step up yet again for Division 1 football?
Absolutely. Laurie Pendrick's put a plan in place for the next 5 years. The committee at Yarraville, the match committee, they've given him the licence to do what he wants. I think without relieving too much secret Santa at Yarraville, you'll find that next year Yarraville will be very, very competitive come First Division.
So, Hash, is that an exclusive for the Footy Fever show, that Laurie has signed a 5-year deal down at Yarraville?
I didn't say that, Trevor. You know me from St Albans 3 4 years ago.
Can I throw a name at you? Yeah. Frost, for 2001. Will he be back in the Yarraville colours?
Well, he's an icon down at Yarraville. To be quite honest with you, Stoney, I'm not too sure. That's a question that we
just
may have to...
Hash, with Glen Orden playing so well in the first half on Sunday, was there panic at half-time with Yarraville? I know Laurie's coached a lot of footy, but the expectations of everyone around was the fact that Yarraville was just going to run out in the ground and win. To be really honest about it, being really close, a couple of points in at half-time, was there a bit of a panic mode?
No, Laurie. If anybody knows Laurie Pendrick and the way his methodology behind coaching, he actually was very calm. He spoke to the players and he asked them to dig deep. And once again they did. They replied in the second half. To the credit of Glen Orden, in the first half, they played Terry Wallis's tactics of flooding Yarraville's forward line.
Now I want to ask Steve a couple of things. This man has the modest touch, I'll tell you that right now. You walk into the ground with one Travis Cook, and you said, Trav, have a good game, Trav. He wins the Rex Swan medal, and Laurie Pendrick is absolute genius, Steve.
Yes, he is, and look, Laurie Pendrick, full credit to Laurie, and he gave full credit in turn to Glen Orden. Trev was saying before, they really took it up to the Tigers, particularly in that first half. And Stoney, the great man, was the MC after the game, and read out the players' names, and they all came up. Big cheers for Stoney. Don't worry about that. And Pendrick got up behind the microphone straight after the game, and the first thing he said was, "Glen Orden, fantastic effort. Glen Orden, I came here to enjoy my afternoon. We've won the premiership, but it doesn't feel like I've enjoyed myself." It was a tough day in the office for Laurie Pendrick.
It certainly was. Sorry, Peter?
Now, Stoney, yourself, not many people know you've been Vice President of Glenroy Football Club, which is fluctuated between A grade and B grade. What do Glen Orden do now, knowing that they've just missed out this year, they're going to have to rebuild again to try and, for 2002, hope they make it into Division 1?
Well, I was going to ask Jeff actually the same sort of question, and as I was involved with an A and B side, going from A to B and back again, Jeff, it takes a lot of try and keep the same squad together and build on that. And they've got to a grand final. The letdown does happen. I've been involved with it before. It just takes the people to come back after in the pre-season and really have a target, the focus that we got beat. Let's go again.
Okay, for sure. And like Wally Jacobs is going to take off the boots, and keeping Stratton, Marsh, those experienced guys at the club, Korea, they're the ones they've got to keep around the place, because it's just amazing when you have a senior nucleus of a side and all of a sudden they've played in the grand final, they've gone down, they've absolutely busted their balls to get there. There's no doubt about that. And they just think, well, maybe I've done enough, you know, my career's at an end, but certainly for Wally Jacobs and the Glenorden committee, the community of Glenorden, that's what I'm asking, is to get behind their footy club. Because to get to that where they were this year is a fantastic achievement, because the Glenorden area, it's not one of those high communities. They're just down the road to Hoppers Crossing, but certainly the club now has got to keep those experienced guys there.
Just quickly, Michael.
Just a quick one before we finish the segment, Stunning. Now, Hash, they'll just strike me. Does he look like a bloke out of Just Kicking, Andrew Starton from the side? Or is that just a stupid question?
Get the profile in there, mate. No, he's right. He does actually. Sorry, Steve. Quick.
Yeah, magic moment after the game. The Yarraville boys locking arms song in the corner. Brian Bootsman-Meady having a talk to this fella. It was just pure magic. Stoney was grinning from ear to ear. He was rubbing shoulders with his hero.
Just on one more important note, the reason we're wearing this, obviously, the big Guernsey, the grand final Guernsey, the St Albans and
big Guernsey.
Parkside, yeah, big Guernsey, and also the cup there. But for this segment, we've got a few bloopers to go to, and Martin, let's take us to the bloopers of 2000.
Western Region Footy League Footy Fever segment number 2. Take one.
That was Stoney sensational snippets, boys, and big stuff that is, eh? What's next on the agenda?
Gilbert back to Carlin. Carlin in. Good night, dear. Oh, Footy Fever, miss of the week. You idiot.
I've had enough.
Okay.
That's it. I've had enough. I'm gone. That's it. I'm out of here. See you later.
Looking at the scores at the moment, Pete, if you look at the camera, stop going to bird watching. The scores at the moment, 13 points, and in favour.
And we've got to thank Sir Greaves and
Welcome back to Footy Fever, and yes, it's our first division time, and boy, we've got some great stars here, Stephen. But first of all, let's have a look at last Sunday's match of the day, and it was the Port Colts St Albans preliminary final, and Port Colts 9-13-67, St Albans 15-3-93. And first of all, we'll go to a couple of guests here. First of all, good evening to David Campbell, the football manager for the Parkside Football Club.
How are you, mate?
Very good, mate. How's it feel to be ready to roll in the grand final this week?
Oh, fantastic, mate. I mean, that's what we prepare for all year, and it's a huge effort by both teams, reserves and the seniors, to get there this week, and hopefully we'll bring home 2 premierships.
And a guy who's probably used to premierships, good afternoon, good evening to Alan Izzo. Good Al.
Good evening, how are you?
Now, talking about that game last Sunday versus Colts, mate, must have been a good feeling after the siren when you got over the line and just had a bit of a think about, well, what could be and what might be in getting into a grand final.
Yeah, it was fantastic for the boys. You know, we put in a lot of work since October, and you know, ambition at the start of the game was to, or start of the year was to finish in the top 3, and you know, we achieved that. And then once the boys got a bit of a taste of it, you know, we wanted to play in the grand final, and you know, we've obviously achieved that this week. So now, looking forward to it. Yeah, now, Stephen, the game last week was a good result for St Albans, and you know, Port Colts will be pretty disappointed. That it's a pretty bitter pill to swallow, that one. And it took a bit hard to get that out with my teeth, actually. But yeah, they will probably think about that long and hard for that loss at the weekend, and will come back even stronger next year, Colts, because they're a pretty proud club.
Absolutely, that'll eat away in their stomachs, the pit of their stomachs. They were pretty undisciplined, but they'll fire up over summer and come back bigger and better next year. But look, the Saints, it's a fantastic story from the Kings Park Reserve. The first time they've made the First Division Grand Final since the late 80s. And Alan, big Corey Bissett, 3 goals at the weekend. He shaved the goatee beard, and he's the only survivor of those 2 premiership sides in 88 and 89 under Bones McGee. He must be a bit of a cult figure around the club, and a big spearhead for you guys.
Look, he's been fantastic. You know, unfortunately, I don't see much of him. He works afternoon shifts, so you know, he's very rarely at training. And when he actually shaved his beard off, I didn't know who it was who was walking in the room. So, you know, he's actually trimmed down fairly well over the last probably month, and he's looking a lot better.
And just on that big Corey Bissett shaving off the goatee beard, I asked him after the game on Sunday. I said, "Where's the beard?" He said, "I was scaring too many little kids."
No comment on that one, mate.
Now, Michael, I know that you were pretty impressed with the St Albans side at the weekend.
Of course, and now Trev, we saw the game. I thought the McFerrins, the Fitzpatricks, they really shined for us St Albans.
They were good. Lee Jarozinski as well was fantastic on Steve Quinn. But look, the difference was the well-drilled, disciplined St Albans side really got them over the line on Sunday, and you know, just look out this weekend.
Now, Al, you mentioned, I spoke to you on Monday afternoon, and you mentioned that the youth of your side is a big factor for St Albans?
Oh, definitely. You know, you have a look at football, that's where you got to bring them up from, and to get these young kids at this age to play in a grand final is just going to make them better players for next year and years to come.
Jeff, Parkside on the other hand had a bit of a rest now. They've you know, gone on pretty good. They've finished on top of the ladder, and they'll go in probably favourites, I'd say, but they should be favourites too because they've had a great year.
There's no doubt about that, and Phil O'Keefe, he's had them primed all year. They've done very, very well, and you know, they've been favourites probably for the last 6 weeks in my book, and yeah, they'd be rested up, but you know, probably all the last couple of weeks they've been thinking they're going to play Port Colts, you know, in the grand final again this year, and you know, blow me down, here comes another red and blue side in St Albans who to me have been very impressive throughout the final series. They've been very, very even.
Dave, just to ask you a question about obviously Sammy Sir winning the Priest Medal, and what a great thing for Sammy and the club also. You know, hasn't been at the club long, but he's a great clubman. For him, it must be a pretty exciting times, and I suppose for the club at the moment, it must be, well, you're just waiting for Saturday to come along.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Sammy Sir is one of the best clubmen you could hope for in a football club. I mean, he's the hardest working bloke out on the track every week. He's just one of those blokes that you can't get enough of him around a club. You know, I mean, every week in, week out, he's the one man who's always encouraging everyone else around the club. Okay, out on the ground, he really is the focal point. Okay, of really organising the whole team.
Steve?
Yeah, just on Sammy Sir, I spoke to him after his Priest Medal win, and he almost pulled the pin after last year. He's a family man, got a young family and a pretty good job, and he was going to concentrate on that, but he decided to pull on the boots, and this is the big motivating factor down at the Murphy's Oval, is Parkside's disastrous fade-out in the last quarter of last year's grand final against Port Colts. They were run over the top by the Borough, and that is the motivating factor down there, and the boys still think about that game, don't they?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's always going to play a small part in the back of the mind. But in terms of the team that played in the grand final last year, for the team that's going to be running out there this week, I think there's probably around about 9 or 10 changes. Okay, and the club is really focused on moving forward this year and developing a stronger side from basically that disastrous finish up last year. But I mean, we don't want to focus on that. We're focusing on what we've done this year and what we want to do this week.
Michael?
2 quick ones, Al. Now, of course, the Bombers on the weekend, your old side. As I said, spoke to you on Monday afternoon, and you said, well, wouldn't it be good to win one of these like the Bombers did?
Oh, look, it was fantastic from Essendon's point of view. They've been, you know, easily the best side all year, and you know, the same thing with Parkside. They've probably been the best side this year, and you know, it's always going to come down to the day, obviously, but we're looking forward to it, and you know, to let Essendon win was just a great thrill for me as well, and topped off a very enjoyable weekend.
Steve touched before on motivation. What did you remember in the 1983 grand final when you lost to Hawthorn? What was Kevin Sheedy put the boys out and made them watch the medal presentations for the Hawks?
Yeah, look, I think he started a cult following. Actually, you virtually watch all the teams now. They actually stay out on the ground now and watch everything. And you know, we were a very young side back then in '83, and you know, Sheeds just wanted to show what we missed out on, and you know, he gave us a spray after it at the after-match function, actually at the Hilton. So you know, it was still ringing in my ears for about 10 years.
It obviously worked because you went on to win the '84 and the '85. If the Saints lose, will you do the same thing, mate?
Oh, look, it's hard to say. You know, footballers are a lot more sensitive now. Half of them probably go away and cry if I get stuck into it too much. So, you know, very strange people.
Can I ask Trev and Jeff? I wrote a few key issues down. I've got them here. Following division, midfield, centre lines, backs, forwards. Trevor and Jeff, first of all, Trev, where do you think this game will be won, and who do you think the key element in the game is?
Oh, look, I think the start of the game is very, very important. That whichever club gets off to a very good start and is disciplined and runs at the footy and not at the man. Because look, you know, the men in white, I mean, they'll be a bit nervous as well. So I think really the first 15-20 minutes is vitally important to the setup of the game. Parkside junior year, when St Albans played them last, Parkside got off to a real flyer. I think it was 9 goals to 0 at quarter time. And even only kicked the one goal after that, St Albans are really chasing tails for the rest of the game. So, I think it's vitally important that, from St Albans' point of view, that they can match and start up with them.
Beebs, we looked at, we've had a chat about St Albans off the record about it, their evenness in the side. Where do you think, or who do you think can win, and why do you think they can win?
It's a tough question. I've got Alan Ezard and David sitting here. I can put myself on the line. I've always been, the last 6 weeks, saying Parkside. Pound for pound, I just think their overall strength. There's a lot of guys on the St Albans side that are lightly framed. They've got the key guys in the centre of the ground, the Fitzpatrick, the Antonowitzes. It puts it up to Burgess being a key ruckman for Parkside. But I just look at the overall experience of Parkside, and pound for pound body weight, I think they're going to have the strength across the centre, plus right down the spine of the ground.
Steve?
Yeah, look, Phil O'Keefe, I spoke to him on Monday, and he believes this game is going to be won and lost in the middle. And you go through both sides, they've got quality players through that midfield. Parkside, Steven Wallis, what a wonderful player he's been this year. Sammy Kukovic, he's really come of age, and Sammy Sue, well, he won the Barry Priest medal along with Cameron Barker from West Footscray. And you go through St Albans, and they've got some big names in the middle. Daniel McFerrin's had an outstanding final series. Jason Fitzpatrick, he's just an inspirational leader around St Albans Football Club. Billy Asani, Sebastian Arena put his hand up at the weekend, gets the borough, and was possibly BOG. And we've got the great man Alan Ezard, who's had just gets better with age, Alan. And it's just an absolute, it's going to be a wonderful game. And I just think all the action's going to be in the middle.
Yeah. Now, I've got one question for Dave first, Mick. Dave, Phil O'Keefe, he's been here the last couple of years, and last year was obviously a pretty, bad defeat. They went out as favourites. How do you think Phil has changed as a coach, or how's he approached the game differently this time?
Well, like I guess Kevin Sheedy's done with the Essendon team, we've tried to keep it as low-key as possible. Unfortunately, we did lose grand final last year, but as I said earlier, we're not focusing on that anymore. Okay, we're focusing on the season that we've had now. We've got a lot of different players in this side to what we had last year, and our major focus this year, as a senior club, is basically to have versatility in the team. And you ran through some of our midfielders. You've also got the Ali Talebs, Greg Karkushkas, and that sort of thing, who can rotate through that midfield, and it gives us a lot of versatility.
Mike?
Jeffrey, now of course Parkside have been the benchmark throughout the season, there's no doubt about that. Do you think that the hard games that St Albans have had to face over the last couple of weeks, obviously you beat West Footscray, and then you took on Port Colts after losing to them the first time around. So they've been hard games, it might take a lot out of St Albans.
Yeah, physically it probably will, and I think Alan would probably address that throughout the final series and pre to the final series. But mentally, I'd say they've got to be on a real high. I really do, and in a final series game, mentally, if they're attuned, and what I've seen in the final series, they've been so even, and the sacrifices they make as a team, I've been, really wrapped in their performances. And again, Parkside, the strong, the experience, but yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I really do believe that.
Steve, you're sort of nudging me here. Obviously, you've got a bit of a point to prove there, mate. Go on.
Yeah, Phil O'Keefe again. Look, he's not underestimating the St Albans Saints by any stretch of the imagination. He says they are fantastic on and off the field, and he gave a big rep to Michael Pasala, the president of St Albans. Now, Mick just has got a real passion for football. He's obviously the president of the club. He also coaches the club's under-16s, and he's also a very vital member of the Western Region Football League's tribunal. Alan, it just must be comforting for you as the playing coach to just have that tremendous support off the field from Mick and the boys.
Oh, look, they've been fantastic. Looking back 2 years ago when I actually spoke to Mick and the committee, and I was very impressed with the way they structured the club, and being past footballers themselves made it a lot easier for me to choose St Albans over quite a few other clubs that I was looking at that stage. And they gave me virtually the full licence to do what I wanted to do with the club, and we try to make it more professional. I think we've done that this year.
And just one other one, Alan. Paul Rogers, your assistant coach, comes down from Geelong 3 or 4 times a week, and he just lives and breathes St Albans Football Club, and he has been a tremendous support for you on the sidelines, obviously, while you're out there in the thick of the action.
Look, he's been fantastic. He's a school teacher at Melton, and he goes from Geelong to Melton to St Albans back to Geelong every day. So, his commitment there is very good. I had him at Coburg when I was there as well, and he just had a few different ideas that I thought would come in handy, and you sort of need that crossbreed across the coaching panel, and we've achieved that this year.
Trevor, just a couple of things on the conditions. Do you think the conditions will suit either side? How do you think that either side will handle if it's a wet day or it's a dry day? Do you think that that will make a difference with the conditions for the clubs?
Well, I think if it's going to be wet, Parkside being the probably the stronger and maybe heavier built side, maybe might advantage them. But gee, St Albans has finished well in all their finals games. They've got the young legs, they will keep running, and they've got the little bit of desire and the will and the momentum up there. So look, if it's close at 3/4 time, you know, anything can happen. I just wanted to ask Alan a question with the recruiting of Brendan Duncan. I know with Mark Antonovich, the years I coached there, that there was lots of expectations on Tonna to, you know, do the ruck work, throw him down back, throw him up forward, whatever. How important has Brendan been to the side to relieve a bit of pressure from Tonna?
Yeah, look, he has. He's been fantastic for him. Once again, I coached him at Coburg as well, and you know, I heard that he was going to finish up there, so I quickly rang him up. You don't find too many 6'6" people around, and look, he's a very strong lad, and he's only 25, 26. But you know, we really needed to relieve Antonovich last year. You know, he virtually had to rove. He did everything. He's just a fantastic workhorse, Antonovich. But this year we can sort of rest him up a little bit here and there, and you know, we can even afford to sit him on the interchange bench for a while just to keep him fresh. So, no, he's been fantastic for us.
And just one more from me. You know, 2 years ago when you did take over the club, there was a lot of young blokes like Scalzo, Josh Bennett, Andrew Wade. I mean, it must be satisfying for yourself to see those guys who have come through the junior ranks of the club and actually take the next step and be like a part of the winning side at the moment. Though, to me, watching from the outside, they've really taken that next step to be senior footballers.
Look, they've been fantastic. You know, you need those young kids at the club, and that was another point that I went to St Albans. Their junior setup's very good up there, and you know, the young kids that have actually come through the competition have been fantastic. And you know, if I can turn these blokes into 50-game players and then 100-game players, you know, they're just going to get a lot better and better. And you know, as you said, they're all around the 22-year-old mark. They all play junior footy together, and look, they've just been fantastic, and they're willing to learn.
Yeah, Aaron Edwards was the other one that I failed to mention, along with Lee Jarozinski.
And there's also Cruel Jack as well. Yeah.
That's right.
So
yeah,
we've probably got about 6 that come through. Yeah.
Just got a question for David. David, I just want to say how serious Parkside Football Club are about this. I spoke to Shepper, Michael Shepper on last week, and also Phil O'Keefe, and they've actually put a media ban on themselves. Phil is so determined to take this off this week. He's really got serious about his football. He's serious before, but this is a big week for him. And he said to me, Stoney, he said last week was okay. This week, Phil, I just want to concentrate on my footy. I said, well done, Phil. So that's what you're in here, mate. But the club is very serious about this now, aren't they?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you know, this is what we work for all year. This is what we've been working for since October last year when we started pre-season and that sort of thing. I mean, Phil O'Keefe is probably one of the greatest leaders we could ask for at the club. I mean, he leads from the front, takes marks every week, kicks goals. I mean, he's a great motivator, and I'm sure that on the weekend he'll lead us out and do the job for us as he has done all year.
Quick one, mate.
Of course, Stoney, plenty of pre-match entertainment this weekend. The game starts later due to daylight savings at 3 p.m. So if you can't get down there, make sure you tune in your radios, because we'll be giving a live broadcast from 1:30 on Stereo 974 FM.
Very good, Michael. You prompted me, and Stephen wants to have a bit of a chat, Steve.
Yeah, one last one. The Parkside Magpies, they've got a very important psychological edge going into this week's big grand final with their co-captain Michael Camarino. Silky skills, very dangerous near the big sticks, and Phil O'Keefe says he will play.
Jeff, a tip.
I'm sticking with Parkside.
Trevor?
Very difficult. I'd love to see St Albans win, but I think Parkside might be just too strong right at the end.
Michael?
Evenly matched, Tony. I'm going to go with the Saints. I think that the games they've had over the last couple of weeks have proven their capabilities, and there are definitely a big chance to take it out, not by much.
Stephen, wearing the Parkside Guernsey?
Yeah, fresh legs. I think Parkside by 2 goals, but the Saints have been a real glamour side, and for them to come from down the bottom of the ladder last year into a grand final this year, it's just been a wonderful achievement.
Well, me wearing the St Albans cover, I'll go for St Albans by a whisker, 1 point. Alan, thanks so much for coming in. David, well done. Don't forget Stereo 974 1:30, and we'll go to a little bloopers tape with a few more things that happened on Footy Fever this year. Okay, Footy Fever segment 3, take 2. Next week being Han Premium White Division 1 and Division 2. Have a look at the fixtures right now. Let's bring it up.
A crucial stage of the game as well for Spotswood.
Go on. That's right. Okay, we're going to run with it.
Someone will defeat Spotswood goal, and why do I have to put up with Tasmanians?
And that's Stoney Sensational Snippets. Now, back to Ken. Now, Ken.
Glad you could fit me in these.
Dragons kicks the ball towards his own. He's looking for Haddad, but instead a nice little old mark there to show for advantage.
And the throw in. Big throw in. Punch straight back out. There's a throw in. Brooklyn win the tap. To the ground.
Quickly thank our sponsors, Great Southern Pies. They've been sponsoring all the pies during the show. Michael's been complaining about the food, so Michael, have a pie. And welcome back to Footy Fever for the Henley Properties Group Junior Report. The last time we'll be having a look at the under-18s, and please do not adjust your set. Believe it or not, I am wearing a Sunshine YCW jumper.
Great jumper too, Pete. Looks very nice, and takes the focus off your head.
I thank you very much for that, Michael. I believe you're the #1 ticket holder down at Sunshine YCW and the one that actually gave me the jumper. But first of all, we've got to go to an illustrious panel this time round. We've got the captains of both sides. First of all, a very good evening to David McMurdo, captain of Sunshine YCW.
Thank you.
Also on the panel, we've got co-captains this time round. First of all, Chris Kelly from Werribee.
How are you?
And there's an eerie pause for you. And of course, Trent Dean as well from the Werribee Juniors.
There you go.
Well, believe it or not, these boys will be battling it out for the Cup this coming Saturday at 9:45 a.m. because Werribee had defeated Hoppers Crossing by 4 points in the preliminary final, 66-62 in the end, Michael. And it was a case of Werribee surviving from a fast-finishing Hoppers Crossing.
Yeah, well, of course, as you said, Pete, Werribee only won by 4 points. Steve Lovell, after the game, said that it took about 10 years off his life, Trev, and losing a game like that, they would have been fuming if they had have.
Yeah, they could have been. I just want to bring attention to the YC coach, Normie Heath. Hopefully all you boys will stop laughing with Peter wearing the YC jumper there. But look, coming up to this Saturday, it's a huge game for both clubs. I really think, yeah, last weekend's gone. It's business this Saturday, so good luck to both clubs.
Now, David, what has Norm Heath said to the boys, considering that you've beaten Werribee twice and you've come in now with the week off?
Oh, he's considering it as actually just a whole different ball game. He's just pretty low-key, he doesn't really talk much, just out and training, and all the best for the weekend, I suppose.
And Trent, I think Steve Lovell's blood pressure is boiling at the moment. Unfortunately, you've gone down to YC in the major semi-final, and you had to hang on to beat Hoppers Crossing last week.
Yeah, it was a bit of a tough match last weekend. A couple of boys were getting a bit worried in the last quarter, but we got over the line and we're just waiting for another crack at YC.
Now, if the mail's right, Chris, I think that Werribee have been involved in the last 8 grand finals in the under-18. So I spoke to Steve and he said that he's been involved in 4. You've won 3. What more can you do winning a quadrilla of premierships?
Well, obviously it would be something good for Steve Lovell to pretty much have on his record the 4 grand finals. So, yep, the boys will be trying to do it for each other, do it for Steve, the coach. So we're looking forward to it.
This is going to be the big clash, and it's big name players. I'm going to mention to both you boys one name each from each side, which I think could be the superstar on the day. First of all, from YCW's side, Kane Mansbridge. What does he mean to the side?
He's very crucial player to our side. Big goal kicker. Last week when we played Werribee, they shut him down, but hopefully this week he comes up on top and kicks a bag.
Now to Chris, what about Shannon Eisenberg?
Shannon, yeah, he's been good for us when he's played for us this year. Obviously down at Jets we didn't have him all season, so but yeah, he's a prolific ball winner, loves the hard ball gets, loves taking a big mark. So
it's a bit of a funny question to ask 2 captains about their stars of the side, Pete, because I think overall both sides are very evenly matched all across the board, so they've definitely very well matched as units. and clearly the two better sides in the competition.
And David, what about the use of Brendan Ackerman in the centre to slow the ball up to let the centre, Anna and yourself push forward into the 50-metre zone?
This year we've actually had no set plays as such at all.
Well, I don't know, I've seen a few.
No, we just do whatever we can to just get that leather ball and put it through the two sticks. And
Okay, guys, I've got a question for Chris and Trent. I think I might just move this along. The guys are just feeding each other off there. Chris and Trent, co-captains of Werribee. How has that worked this year, and how has it had an impact on the players? What role have you both played, being co-captains?
Well, I think it's been pretty equal throughout the whole season. We both do our part, whether it be at training, on the ground. We've both got a lot of yap in ourselves, so we use our talk a lot, and we try show a fair bit of inspiration around the club and get the boys going.
Now, Dave, a bit of humour in tonight's show, of course. Sorry, Trent. What's the feeling going into the grand final, mate? Pretty pumped up?
yeah, pretty pumped up. All the boys should have fresh legs this week after a week off against the win against Hoppers. Can't actually explain the feeling at the moment. It's just
bit of deja vu.
Bit of deja vu from last year, but hopefully this year we come up on top.
David, just my second part of the question that I was rudely cut off there by Michael.
And it was a great
rightly
preparation.
so.
It was a great question too.
Your preparation between last year and this year, I mean, last year obviously a disappointment there. How has it been different? I mean, have you done anything different coming into these finals, up to this grand final, than you did last year?
Oh, last year we made the grand final the hard way actually. Like there wasn't really no big build up to the grand final, but this year there has been, and I suppose everyone's taking care of their bodies and stuff like that, and it's on everyone's mind, and just the win.
So your training, what about your preparation through your training? What have you done for your week off? Did you have a hard week on the track?
Oh, we had a bit of a light week off. A few of the players that are injured just went swimming, and some people didn't even come to training because they were just too injured, or the people who did come just had a light night through the whole week.
Oh, good.
Now, Trent and Chris, you both believe yourselves that you can win the flag, but why?
Can we get that one?
The co-captain throwing to the other co-captain.
Well, I think the boys are really focused at the moment. We could see it in each other's eyes on Sunday against Hoppers Crossing. You just look around, the boys are totally focused, and I think they're ready for a big one against YC. We don't want to go down 3 times in a row, so we just don't want to let it happen.
Of course, Pete, all players had a pretty good weekend. Dave had the week off, but you had a pretty good weekend last week?
Nothing totally to get excited over, but I was happy with my own performance, and I'm sure Chris was happy with his as well. But the main thing is we won, and if we can do it again this coming weekend, we'll be even happier.
We've got 2 minutes, Pete.
We've got 2 minutes to go. Now,
we've got 2 minutes, so ask a sensible question.
Round the panel, for God's sake. Trevor, your tip.
YCW.
How much?
Oh, 2 points. Very, very close game. I think it'll go down down to the wire. Maybe 23 points in the end.
Michael?
Oh, well, I'd probably get beaten up if I said Werribee, but I think it'll be a close game. I'm tipping a draw.
You're tipping a draw. Now, let's get off the fence here. Let's have a tip. You've been on the fence all year.
YC by 5 points.
Well, the only reason why I'm wearing the YCW jumper is it's the only thing they're going to celebrate all season. I told Jan Swartz at the start of this year that I'll be handing you the runners-up flag, and I'll stick by the claim. I'll stick by it. Werribee by 3 points, and it'll be an edge-of-your-seat thriller. Simple as that.
We'll get the boys' tips.
That's about useless. That is the best asked question all season, Michael. You idiot. But you could feature on the bloopers coming up later on in the segment. But finally, thank you once again to everyone that's been tuning in to Footy Fever for the under-18 segment anyway, and everyone that's enjoyed the juniors. Trent, Chris, David, thank you very much for joining us on the panel today. It's been a pleasure.
Good luck.
It's been a pleasure, Michael and Trevor as well. That's the last time you'll hear about the under-18s this season, and many of you are thinking, thank God for that. But coming up now, believe it or not, is the bloopers. So stay tuned, laugh your guts out, because these idiots are going to be making a fool of themselves.
Welcome to Footy Fever
Segment 2, take 1.
Mr. Ruddick, as a child, what did you learn from sport?
Gee, Fred, that really hurt. Oh, gee, I could throw a handkerchief over that. Hospital pass.
Welcome back to the 21st episode of Footy Fever, and the last one for this year, and it's time for Stoney Sensational Snippets.
Ta-da!
Just want to, right there, Mr. Wally, see that? That is the Henley House, and yes, it is getting auctioned on Saturday, October 7th, and we want everybody in the western suburbs all around Melbourne to come along. It's going fabulous at the Lot 192 in Neptune Drive down in Point Cook. And we still need a few things there, so ring me on the office on 9315 1377 just to finish off a few finishing trades, a few landscape gardeners, plants, whatever you like. Just give me a call at the office, 9315 1377.
And don't forget, sorry to cut you off, Stoney and Pete, but I think that Mark Stone needs a big round of applause for that, because it's him and Mark Penaluna have put a great job together and get this house up on the road, Stoney. And on behalf of all the juniors in the Western Region Football League, I think he needs a big round of applause.
22nd of September it's going to be finished by, so I need trades to finish it off. Give me a call, Stephen. You can do a Stoney Sensational Snippets, mate.
Thanks, mate. Dazzling night, pre-medal night for the Western Region Football League. It was a dazzling night, an absolutely sensational effort by Crystal Penaluna, the sister of the general manager, Mark Penaluna. She did a wonderful job. The Bruce McAvaney of the West, Mark Stone, he looked handsome in his tuxedo. And what a night of high drama it was, with Sammy Sir and also Cameron Barker tying for the Priest medal, and big Kenny Robertson winning the Alan Smith medal in second division.
It certainly is, and a couple other things there, Cameron. Which camera am I going to look at? This one or this one? I'll look at this one right here, Cameron. Presentation night, Friday, October 13. Yes, that's Bad Friday, Good Friday, whatever you want to call it. It's Friday, October 13 for the presentation night, and Ladies' Night, Friday, September 15th, and what a great night for the ladies that should be. All the ladies there, contact the office, 9315 1377. And we had a little interesting thing we thought about this week. We sent Dave Sheehan, our roving reporter, down to find out who they thought, people had thought in the streets, who thought St Albans or Parside, who's going to win. So we might have a look at Street Talk from the Western Region Football League and go to Dave and Martin right now.
Do you live in St Albans?
Yes, I do.
Do you know your suburb have got through to the grand final for the first time since the late 80s? Is that exciting?
It's pretty exciting, I suppose.
Do you live in St Albans?
Yes.
What's your name?
Jill.
Jill. How old are you, Jill?
8.
8 years old. Did you know the last time St Albans won the football you weren't even born?
No.
Have you ever heard of Alan Ezard?
No, can't say I've heard of him.
Do you know Alan Ezard?
No.
Excuse me, we're from the Western Region Football League. Did you know St Albans made the grand final this year?
No, I don't know nothing. I'm too old to be such a...
Too old? Some people say that about Parkside as a team. Do you think St Albans will win on Saturday?
Oh, of course, of course. I wish St Albans win, because I live in St Albans, that's why.
Have you heard of Alan Ezard?
Business.
Alan Ezard.
Yeah, I heard, yeah.
Do you think he's good looking?
Oh, he's beautiful, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And can you say Go Saints?
I'll say?
Go Saints.
Go Saints.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Do you think there'll be any biff at the footy on Saturday?
Yes.
Why is that?
We're having a party.
Oh, that's good. Excuse me, do you follow the footy here in St Albans?
No, Joe. Thanks, Carl. Come on.
Have you heard of Trevor Davies?
Trevor Davies? No, can't say I have, no, sorry.
Okay, have you heard of Alan Ezard?
No.
He used to play with Essendon. Do you know Essendon?
Yes.
He played with Essendon in the mid-80s and he's coaching St Albans now? Yeah. Do you live in St Albans?
No, Killardown.
You killed who?
Killardown, yeah.
You killed who?
Killardown.
Oh, Killardown.
Yeah.
Hello, we're from the Western Region Football League. Do you follow the footy in St Albans?
No, I do not.
Did you know St Albans made it to the grand final this
I'm
year?
not interested.
Okay, thank you.
What do you do with that?
We...
Have you seen people pull that apart?
No.
They will.
Okay. Let's go. Does anyone know Peter Holden? Did Peter Holden actually work here? Did Peter Holden do work experience here? You used to work here. Did you know Peter Holden, who used to work here? What's your name?
Sarah.
What was Peter like?
He's grouse.
Grouse?
He was alright.
It was all right, yeah. So you sort of took a bit of a fancy to him.
Nah.
If the footy show doesn't run next year, what would Peter Holden have to do to get his job back here?
He's got to learn to listen to people.
Like his boss?
That's right.
The big game at Yarraville on Saturday, Parkside against St Albans. Have you heard of Phil O'Keefe?
Yes.
Do you think it might be his last game?
To tell you the truth, I really don't know.
And the word on the street is that maybe Parkside will be a bit too physically strong for St Albans on the day. Any idea?
Well, I've heard that they are a bit how would you say?
Soft?
No, that's Parkside I'm talking about.
They're a bit rough, yeah.
Yeah, but I really don't know sort of the senior teams to comment really.
Well, what about the whole setup at Hoppers Crossings? You happy there?
Oh, it's a very good club. Very good club. Juniors all do well and right the way through, so it's a terrific club.
Great, thanks for your time.
Welcome back to Footy Fever, and that was Dave Sheen, also Martin Duffy, in the streets of wherever they were. But we had a couple of guests here, two important people in this show, and it's a good evening to Martin Duffy. G'day, Martin.
Thanks very much, Tony. Grand final videos, $30, 3-camera edit, full production. The commentary team over here should be out about a week after the grand final.
And of course,
if you need
Tony,
to finance that, you might need Kennedy and Co. Actually.
and of course, Tony will throw in a free set of steak knives with it.
And also, we can't forget the other cameraman and editor and co, whatever you like to do. Good evening, Steven Wallis.
Good evening, Tony. Good evening, panel. Nice to be on this side of the desk for once.
Certainly is.
Warmer on this side of the desk.
Just on that, Stephen was the one that put the Go Demons on me last week, and well, you've copped it now. The Demons went down, and pleasure having you $10 as well.
Where's your white uniform, mate?
Now, don't forget, this week is the big grand final, Cameron. You picked that one up nicely there. And just want to chat about the grand final while I'm here. It's Kids' Day because we've got the Jumping Castle, we've got the face painting, we've got the singer Rob Farley. He's going to sing Advanced Australia Fair, and what a great thing for Western Region football it is.
Got a couple of CDs too, Stoney.
Yeah.
Not a bad singer.
Rob Farley, his name. You'll hear a lot about the gentleman.
That camera.
Also, tea and coffee. Entertainment starts, Michael, at what time? 9:45.
You put me straight off the hoof, the whatever it is.
9:45, and the big game, Peter, at 9:45.
The big game, the under-18s, YCW versus Werribee will be a crackerjack.
And also, we've got it's also 12:20 in the afternoon. We've got the big game. It's Port Colts and Parkside in the reserves, and that should be a fantastic game, which leads into the 3 o'clock start of the big game. Parkside and St Albans should be a fabulous day. And Stereo 97 will be there at 1:30. I'm going to try to get my teeth again. I don't know what's wrong with me this week. But 1:30 there, Stereo 97. You can join all this motley crew here. And these boys will be on the camera. And it will be a great day. And just thank you to some sponsors. Clark and Toop, Altona Gate Shopping Centre. And some more boys. We also got Eddie the Butcher.
Bridgestone Tyre Centre in St Albans and Hoppers Crossing. Amino Active. Sports.
Universal Gym.
The Universal Gym, of course. SAS.
Premium Light.
Tui's.
Henley Properties Group.
And Eddie the Butcher.
And also Ross Napoli Foundation having a big night April 25th next year. So you want any details, give me a call, 0409 384 619 for that one, 0409 384 619. A big night for Ross. And also, Steve, Footy Fever Personality of the Year. We thought we'd have a bit of a chat about the last show. We've gone 21 episodes now. And we might go straight to Beebs, I think, and I'll put him on the spot, Beebs. Personality of the Year, Beebs.
Oh, no doubt. Personality of the Year this year goes to a guy that has been a good bloke, that really hasn't taken boys to task at Spotswood Football Club. Jamo, you're out there, mate. You've got a broken leg. And for not going too hard on the boys at Spotty, fantastic effort for the year.
Michael?
Gives a bit of a Spotswood feel here tonight, Stoney. But, well, someone that I'd like to, give a big plug to, and my personality of the year is actually the great man with the Demons, or the Demons, make that the Saints jumper on Mark Stone. He mightn't have a personality, but he's got my mention.
Back to the footy. Trevor?
Yeah. Look, for mine, it's Stephen Tom of West Footscray Football Club. Been a big 2 years for Tomo. He's rebuilt the club, obviously with help of his committee and
and the guys that work hard around the joint. But you know, he took over West Footscray winless. Got to the finals this year. For me, personality of the year. Well done, Tomo.
A bit of a West Footscray feel there, Peter.
My personality of the year, well, he's umpired in a leather jacket. He's been here since show 12. I've told him to bugger off, but he's still here. Johnny Gillespie gets my personality of the year.
Wally, you got a personality?
Yeah, I like Brian Wallis. Yeah, he's did a good job with the interleague juniors.
And he dodged the pipe
He's got
very
the
well.
same name as my old man, so yeah. It's a bit...
Brian Wallis, Martin.
Stoney, the man who disappeared. Fred Hall, where are you? There you've gone.
We need more
Freddie was a big part of the show. Well done, Freddie. Thanks very much. Stephen?
Yes, a dead heat for me. Michael Pasala, President of St Albans, and Steve Tom, Trevor Davies have got it right on the head, and with apologies to Mark Stone.
And one more thing I just want to say, listen to the names we've had on Footy Fever this year. Tony Hassan, we spoke to him before. Kenny Gannon, Luke Darcy, Jason Clark. He's my personal here, Jace. Well done, mate. Phil O'Keefe. We've also had Simon and Jeff. Well done, kids and boys, and everybody else. Johnny Gillespie and Lisa B. And we'll be back, maybe.
You've got to say the big farewell. Hang on.
One minute. We've got 1 second left.
Quick.
These balloons out. But
everyone's got to say the
to
big
Mark
farewell.
Stone, he puts in 90 hours a week in the office, and the payments aren't that great, but he definitely does it for the love of the game. So I think Mark needs a great big raps for it, and of course,
and also,
I
want to send a big hello to Mark Penaluna, who's put all this together. He's still working hard in the office. He won't rest until the grand final is over. So Mark Penaluna, fantastic job, well done. We hope you're still with the league in 2001. You are the Western Region Footy League.
Back next year. See you, boys.
And girls.
And girls.